Hey everybody, my name is Jonathan and welcome to me talking at your face with my face. But what about? Today isn't going to be a toy review, it's not going to be any kind of pontifications. We're going to be looking at some toys that I actually found while cleaning out my dad's house. They were basically Christmas gifts that my mom had got for me through mail order. I think probably Service Merchandise or one of those older retailers. But once she got them, she realized I already had them, so she just kind of stored them away instead of sending them back, which means I found a bunch of unopened toys. And I'm really excited because they're from an amazing toy line. Well, I guess it's kind of two, but they were the same business that was making them. But let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's jump into that right now because I'm going to ramble if I don't actually focus. Okay, so ToyBiz in the early to mid 90s was the toy company for me. They had all of the X-Men toys that I could possibly dream of. They also had other lines. They expanded into Spider-Man and into another line we're going to be talking about today, in addition to the X-Men line specifically, is the Iron Man line, because there was an Iron Man animated series in the mid 90s and there were toys associated with it. Now, I really love these toys because they don't have any like action feature like that makes them move or pose in a weird way. Instead, the action feature are the accessories themselves. We're going to take a look at those last. First, we're going to take a look at two from the ToyBiz line, and they came in a box just like this. And the first one we're going to look at is Executioner. This guy was okay. He did have the weird action feature thing going on where he would spin his arm or something. I never really got it to work right. But he was supposed to do something with his arm, but it doesn't work. But what I really liked about this guy though is this thing here is a mask that can actually come off. And you can see his little ugly mug under there. I don't know why you would ever take it off because he looks so much cooler with it on. But there are also little clips back here for his weapons, and he comes with a boatload of weapons, y'all. He came with, like, I don't know if any of y'all remember the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original action figures, but the way, whoa, it just shot off his back like an action feature missile. Oh boy. I'm going to put him down real quick so I can get out this bag of weapons he came with. And you can see most of them are attached to this plastic scaffolding because they just didn't bother to cut out the accessories back then. You could do it yourself. And he can use and hold all of these weapons. Many of them will fit on a little scoop on the back. I just haven't opened these yet because I haven't decided if I want to take them off that rack yet, just because it's such a pretty piece in my opinion all together, because it's such a time capsule for toys from back then, because a lot of them came like this, and all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys came like this back in the day, where all the weapons would be a single piece of single color of plastic all attached to this weird scaffolding that they were clearly extruded through. So yeah, that's Executioner. Pretty cool. Pretty good posability for a toy from back then. This arm is a little bit disappointing because of the action feature. You can only really rotate at the wrist. Now that's more rotation than he has in his other wrist. Knees bend, they go back and forth. There is no split. There is no ab crunch or anything like that. And there's no shoulder where you can pull the arm out. It's just forward and back. But man, this was all the articulation I needed back in the day. You know what I mean? I'm going to put him aside real quick. What did I drop? I dropped his little billy club again. Oh well. God, y'all, there's a lot of dudes in here. Next one we'll take a look at is this guy, because I can't remember what his name is. If you remember who this is, please post it in the comments down below. He comes with this little gun that's a part of him and this water pump, so you could actually put water inside the figure and he would squirt that. If you had to do an action feature, I preferred one like this because I was going to use his gun as a gun regardless. I never put water in it. In fact, in the original version of this toy that I had, I lost this pump within probably an hour of opening it. I've kept it on him just because I don't handle these guys nearly as much as I used to back when I first got my collection. But he's got some pretty good detail for back then, man. This is back when action figures would run anywhere from $4 to $7 a piece, and he looks pretty cool. He's got a lot of sculpt going on there, a lot of detail. I don't think there's any reused parts in this guy, maybe from Forge or Cable on certain parts, but this is a really cool, unique looking figure. And Fitzroy, no, it's not Fitzroy. That guy looked different. He had like a crystal. I can't remember his name, but we're going to put him aside. Up next, we're going to take a look at Sunfire. I really, really dug this figure as a kid. It came with this weird shield that I never understood, but it came with this awesome armor that you can take off. Pull up his ponytail there and just slides right off, and you can see all the cool detail in his suit underneath. This is the 90s, so everything had to be covered with electronics and or pockets and pouches, just depending on how cool you want it to be. So Shatterstar was the coolest person ever back then. And the armor just slips right back on. It's cool, beautiful vac metal. Now this is, 20 years old or so it has lost just a little bit of its luster, but it's mostly been sitting in the dark in this box, just waiting for me to rediscover 30 years later. So, it's so cool. Okay, put him down. And one more figure from the X-Men line, and it is a Wolverine figure. Now, it's probably one of my least favorite Wolverine figures because it has such a weird action feature. Like, he can power hug somebody. I'm gonna hug you, bub. I'm gonna hug you. It also has a little bit of a weird face sculpt. It's just kind of nondescript, sad guy. It doesn't even look that angry. The hair is cool. The mutton chops are cool coming down the side of the cheek there. I like that. I dig the costume and the colors. This was different for the time. There wasn't a whole lot of... this came from a wave of figures, I believe, that were made like this from a specific storyline, which I cannot remember right now, even though I read about it the other day. But this was, it was cool. It was different from the rest of the line outside of this wave, so I, of course, already had him because he was a Wolverine figure. Now, there was one Wolverine figure that was worse than this one, and that was the civilian clothes Wolverine. I loved the concept of it, but the execution was poor. It had the claws that could pull back down into his arm, but because of the way they were put in there and the way the arms were positioned, they were like out at a weird angle from each other, so they kind of stuck out and like that, and you just couldn't have any good fun play opportunities with that. And I remember they had done the retractable claws with the first Wolverine figure, and it worked fine because his arms were straight out, and that was a little bit more of a natural pose, it felt like, for the time than the one we ended up getting back then. But okay, so those are the X-Men figures that we found. There's actually a couple more in there than I remembered there being, so that was a nice little surprise for me. I'm going to put these guys aside, and now we're going to take a look at these Iron Man figures. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, what is so special about an Iron Man figure? And you can see him here. This is a pretty basic Iron Man. Same basic articulation as the rest of the ToyBiz line. You got the arms can go up and down. You got bends at the elbows, single joint. You can turn the head back and forth. The legs go forward and back, and the legs bend at the knee, but there is no other articulation. There's no ankle articulation, no wrist articulation, no waist, no ab crunch, nothing like that. The arms can't reach out to the side, and the legs can't split either. So you're like, whoa, well, that's kind of interesting, but what made this line so special? Well, it was the first real time that we got variants on the Iron Man costume, which were really cool. But what really set this line apart, and I'm going to show you yet another Iron Man figure to reveal this particular play feature, but what set this line apart was the armor, because the armor was modular, and you would put it on the figure once you got him out of the package, and he would look all cool with this vac metal stuff going on there. So just to show you exactly how it worked, we're going to go ahead and put together this stealth Iron Man here, and I've got all of his accessories in this little thing. So first, we'll put on the chest armor, because it seems to be probably the easiest. And you can see the holes in the front. It's a lot like the old Ronin Warrior figures. I don't know if you remember those, but I loved stuff like this where you could add the armor to them and take it off. It I don't know, it made it feel like Captain Power or something like that. And if you have never seen Captain Power, that is one of the best series from that era. Crap, I don't know where these things go. I'm not sure what this part is. Maybe it's a shoulder pad? Yeah, it's got to be a shoulder pad. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to figure this out and I'll be right back. All right, just so you can see how many different pieces this one guy has that have to clip onto the outside. And some of them will go all the way around a limb, and others will, just kind of click into a spot. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy together, and then I'll be right back. Lord, y'all, that was hard. Okay, so you can see he's got this cool Coke bottle gun there. The things that I was trying to put in his shoulders were the wrist guards. The shoulder guards were a bit bigger. And these ankle cuffs are actually 2 pieces. And that kind of gave me a problem getting this back piece to stay stuck to the front piece, because the front piece is stuck into one of the holes in the actual figure itself, kind of like the ones on this Iron Man shin. And I'm pretty sure these guys are almost completely the same basic body mold, because all of them have these belt points there, but this guy does not have a belt piece, and I've looked that up. He doesn't seem... Oh, you know what? I forgot a piece, so let me bring that in, the wings. And we're going to go and put those on his little backpack here, if they'll stay. Manufacturing tolerances were a bit wider back in the 90s, and I don't think it being 30 years old is helping it very much. But he also had a little play feature where you could, like web store, pull him along his little thing here, which is kind of fun. He does go up and down. Yay! Look how cool he looks. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So that's him. The other one I had over here that was already made up was holographic armor. The previous one was the stealth armor. This is the holographic armor, and as you can see, all of these pieces are just plastic molded pieces that stick into his body. This is probably my favorite one because there's no obvious play feature on him. He just looks badass. This guy's also out with Marvel Legends, so I'm going to try to get him eventually so I can pose these guys together up on the shelf. I just think that'd be a cool contrast to see those 2 figures side by side. And he does also come with his weapon too. Now, none of these are like the weapons from the 90s that had the spring-loaded missile shooting things. These are just accessories that you clip onto their arm. I don't know if this is going to clip on anywhere on him. I think the way the armor is made, it won't let it clip in. Because if you look real close, the hole is at the end of this. Come on, focus. There we go. See this ridge thing here? It makes it borders the hole, and it makes it so the little nub on this can't get really deep enough in there to get purchase, so it can actually stick unless it's at a weird angle, and even then it falls off. And then finally we've got a basic or more basic Iron Man. Oh, and these also came with little name badges, because I have MODOK somewhere around here. He was another one that was in the file, or the cache that we found. I'm going to go ahead and put this more normal looking Iron Man together. I can't remember what his code name was, but I'm going to get him together real quick. We'll take a look at him, and then we'll wrap up this whatever video this has been. Y'all, this Iron Man, I swear to God, he's Jetpack Iron Man. He even has a little string here where you can whoop. He's got a jetpack. Why would Iron Man need a jetpack? This one's also kind of cool because it does come with 2 mounted weapons that actually did mount. There is a mechanism in this, but it doesn't really do anything. Like, it doesn't click at any point. I think you're supposed to flick it out the back or something of that nature. It doesn't really work that well. But it doesn't affect any of the posing of the figure himself. It's just one of those 90s accessories that they use to replace action features. But you can see, yeah, he's got that metal armor on, nice vibrant red. No belt on this guy either. He's got cool big old boots and stuff. It does kind of just look like a jetpack Iron Man though, with these weird handle things that he has attached there. I don't know. I really don't understand that very much. But also in the bag that he was in, I found some accessories, some vintage accessories from the figures I originally owned. Because originally, I also had War Machine. And I've got 3 pieces of his armor left that were not with my toys when they got thrown away. They were in a different spot because I was unorganized, and hey, it paid off a little bit. Not very much. Not enough to make up for all the deficits it's caused. But yeah, I got 3 pieces of his costume still, his main chest piece, one of his shoulder things, and the back part of his belt. Yeah. But finding this collection, this cache of figures a couple of years ago and going back over it just now has just been like going back in time. I remember getting just a boatload of the X-Men figures for Christmas one year and just having the most epic battles. Had Strong Guy, had a Hulk figure, of course Wolverine, Cyclops, Deadpool, Cable, Strife, Apocalypse, Magneto, you name them, I probably had them, and I loved every second of it, and that's why I'm really starting to really enjoy buying the Marvel Legends figures now, because that was one of my first main toy lines, along with the DC Superpowers. Predated it, but it led directly into that obsession, so you have to give some credit to that as well. But yeah, it's almost Christmas. I'm probably not going to do any more videos for the rest of the year, but at the turn of the year, hopefully I'll have a lot of stuff to do unboxings and reviews on, especially Masters of the Universe stuff, hopefully some wrestling stuff as well, so we can kind of diversify the channel a little bit this year. And I'm still working on a Masters of the Universe project, I promise. Hopefully it's going to debut sometime in the new year, but we'll have to see. Life sometimes happens and holds us back from things. That's okay. But I hope you keep collecting the way you like to collect, whether that's keeping your figures mock or opening them for display or for play. However you like to do it's the right way to do it. And if anybody else tells you otherwise, tell them to go.